What's going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. It is 6:05 p.m. Today, Monday, September 30th. We're not officially a month in, but 4 weeks to me feels like a month traditionally. The Vikings are undefeated? Question mark. I am Ron Burgundy.
I mean, they are. So
What are we?
4-0, guys. 4-0 on the season. You
What
should be
is
way more pumped than what you
what
are right
is
now.
life right now? It's almost like a prank. I'm waiting for that thing to come out of the cake and punch me in the face. I'm still waiting on it.
I don't know what's going on because my pro team, the Vikings, and my college team, Iowa State, are both undefeated right now, and they both tried to shit the bed last week, and they both managed to pull off a win in the end. I don't know how I should feel either.
all I know is the University of Minnesota got screwed over last week. Stupid Michigan. That onside kick, he was not offside on that. The fact they took that away was stupid.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the college game. That was quite BS. It's weird. I don't want to get into the tinfoil hat stuff of football, but I can't say that it would be 100% authentic and the integrity is always upheld with anything in life. So yeah, I'm going to leave that out there for an interpretation. I agree with you, Adam. That was a BS call. There were some BS calls in this Vikings game too, but for the most part, I think I speak for everyone. This was a tale of two halves. If you started it in the second quarter, you would have been not surprised if you were a Vikings fan because we've seen this before. If you're a Packers fan, you're thinking, I feel the momentum shifting. You could see the body language.
It was what, 22 unanswered points?
Yeah, I believe so. It was 28-7 at one point. I think started in the second half, and Green Bay received the ball. And up until this point, the Vikings, for every game so far, they've really just been dominating and in control. But they had some costly penalties. My favorite stat of the Kevin O'Connell era is when they win the turnover battle, they are 21-0. So just don't give the ball away, or if you do, give it away less times than your opponent, and you'll win.
Like, were
it's
you
100%
kind of confused like I was by Green Bay's decision to go for two after that third down?
Yeah. I mean that's two parts of the game I was confused by, Adam. That part and then the Vikings going for it. While I understand that you go for it there if you make it cool, I would have rather seen points. You're right there, you know.
Kick the field goal. That's one of those you're overthinking the situation moments for the Vikings.
But we always say, keep your foot on the gas pedal, and then when they do, we say we don't like it.
Right, because we're fans. We're allowed to be nitpicky like
that. That's right. Don't hold me accountable, Adam. How dare you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a juxtaposition. I mean, I feel like if you're right there, I understand going for it, but maybe I'm too conservative, and I'm seeing recency bias here, but I'm thinking about the Lions last year. They went for it in that NFC Championship game, and had they just taken points, they may have won the game.
But it had worked for Detroit like the rest of the season almost every time.
Exactly. You make a great point, Adam. You can look at it both ways, and you have every right to say, cool, if I were in this position, I'd do the same thing. I feel like taking the points is always a smarter idea, but it might not win you the game. I was really, just for the sake of the momentum and just putting more points on the board, hey, do it this way. Because what would have sucked is if Green Bay would have recovered that kick onside, and then all they have to do is kick a field goal to win versus going down to get a touchdown. That's what I'm worried about. Because basically now, if you get a kickoff, and this doesn't even apply for the onside kick because they would have been closer. But if you get a kickoff and you just get it at the 30, you basically only have to go like 40 yards, less than that maybe, and you could just get points. And it sucks now. I hate that part of the NFL. I really wish they would take it back.
Do we have to send a thank you card to Green Bay's kicker?
Yeah, we probably should.
Who is it they were talking about today? The kicker that got the allegations against him cleared, Matt something. He was with the Bills for a second. He's completely cleared of everything, and everybody in the comments was tagging the Packers. They're like, make the call right now. Terrible allegations against him, but looks to be like there was no sufficient evidence to do anything there. I mean, if you're Green Bay, at least like flirting with the idea of that. I don't know.
They cut Greg Joseph for that guy.
Which is amazing. I'm sure Greg Joseph would have had a career day against us because that's just how the football gods worked it out. But
I was more irritated on that fourth down call with the Vikings going for it. Less because I agree with Adam. You always want to put your foot down and you always want to go for it. To me, that felt more like we really want Aaron Jones to score a touchdown.
I was just going there
against Green Bay. If you really want to put your foot on the throat of the Green Bay Packers, at least once, Justin Jefferson, corner of the end zone, you're throwing a pass to him, right?
Did you see that beautiful drop that Sam Darnold dropped right in Justin Jefferson's hands?
Ooh, yeah.
The defender
we're
was
talking
right
about that catch, but that throw was nasty.
How did that get through?
It's wild. It almost reminds me, speaking of in Green Bay, remember the throw Kirk's first season here to Adam Thielen that was like on the one that was just in the exact perfect spot. It reminded me of that, only this one was an even tighter window because there was literally a corner with their back turned to the offense, which is
that was a phenomenal catch. And we say this all the time. You got to have a quarterback with the balls to every now and then go, Justin Jefferson is covered. I'm going to throw it to him anyway because he can contort and pull that in and just make those spectacular plays.
And Packers fans had all the excuses after this game. Oh, Jordan Love just came back. Alexander was out. I mean, they were going for all of them. And we still almost beat you. It's like almost pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
And then it's always, well, maybe we can just go and look at our rings, our Lombardi trophies. And it's like, oh, cool.
All right, cool. I'm glad you brought this up because I'm going to shit on Packers fans for this real quick. And I also want to preface that with the Justin Jefferson thing. This is one of those catches in his career for me as a fan, just me, for Kyle personally, going to the Houston game in 2020, the year he's drafted, and seeing like, oh, Kirk threw the ball before he had even turned around and he made an amazing like pull-in catch. That's when I knew this kid was legitimate. But that catch yesterday in Green Bay is going to go on as one of the underrated parts of his career because he's consistently up here doing stuff that we don't talk about. And then that sideline catch, the toe tap, one of the best toe taps you'll ever see. And that's just like a casual game for him.
Because the rest were like, there's no way he got that.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too. And then I felt bad because I don't want to discredit the kid for anything, but looking at first glance, you're like, oh, okay, that was a great attempt. But the more we talk about it, the more we talk about him, the more impressed I become. And here's the thing that's going to happen this year. Because Sam Darnold and the offense is so efficient, his numbers and his average yards per game is going to drop, but his touchdowns are going up, which is pretty sweet. He's already got 4.
And hey, just wait until TJ Hawkinson comes back.
Man,
that's another big weapon to this offense. And you're already seeing it. You can only double team so many people on the field. You create mismatches. And we're Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor. These guys are getting excellent opportunities out there right now because of what Justin Jefferson does by pulling the defense towards him as the focal point.
Yeah, so if you're watching this game, like we were, and you got to give a game ball and donkey, you could give one of each to Sam Darnold in this game. If you
could.
Really wanted to. Because Darnold threw some passes that probably should have been intercepted, made some bad decisions, and did get that one strip sack. And we know by now, through 4 weeks, Darnold is going to make some bad decisions.
Yes.
Maybe not bad, but at least questionable. But it's how the Vikings survive those that's going to make the difference.
Correct. You're going to have at least one throw per game with Sam Darnold that's going to be that either was an interception or should have been an interception.
Yes.
You just got to come to terms with it. I'm okay with it because right now we're able to overcome those plays and those moments. And I like the fact that he's willing to put the ball in our superstar elite player, Justin Jefferson. You're giving him those opportunities down the field to make plays.
But not just throwing it down the field like Nick Mullins being like, okay, whatever happens down there is cool.
Right. There's more of a calculated effort, decision-making process with what he's doing. And Jefferson is so elite, like you were talking about, Smith, with this catch, that like ESPN don't even talk about, even though it's a phenomenal catch. The mainstream media will never talk about it. This is how you know you have an elite player on your team. remember when Adrian Peterson, oh, he's having a quiet game. Well, how many yards did he have? I don't know. He's had like 80 yards in the first half. And that would be like what other running backs would have in an entire football game. We're so used to Justin Jefferson making elite, phenomenal catches that when he does it, you're like, yeah, that's routine. That's
Yeah, at
what
one point in this game, Jefferson had about 60 yards, and I was like, boy, they're not really getting Jefferson involved, are they?
Yeah.
He was getting those yards, and I was like, for some reason, not like expecting it or not realizing it.
Yeah.
I did maybe expect it.
I want to, before we get to game balls and donkeys, I want to get back to these Packer fans because Adam, you brought it up and it made me laugh. And I just want to say two things. One, nothing you can say to me as a Packer fan anywhere on the planet hurts more than this team breaking my heart every year. I'm dead inside. Yeah. So anything that says, how about them Super Bowls? Yeah, I'm aware because I have eyeballs and a brain. I know we haven't won the Super Bowl. It doesn't hurt me because I don't have the expectation of that from being dead inside, like I mentioned. But can we all agree, and I'm throwing shade at our rival because they're our rival. Can we just agree that bringing up Super Bowls from your favorite team's past is the equivalent of wearing your high school Letterman jacket to a party in 2024?
You want to know what I always say, and I've never had anyone come actually be able to retort this with a good comeback. When they say, oh, well, the Packers won however many Super Bowl rings they have. What is it? 5, 6, 7? You go, oh, so you're a fair weather fan then.
Yeah,
that's the only reason that you're a Packer fan is because they've won Super Bowls. Oh, so like New England. Oh, so like you're a fair weather fan. Okay.
I just laugh at that because I said it online and I say it as a thing like I'm happy that your team won a Super Bowl. I am. I want mine to win. That's why I'm a fan of this team. To your point, Kyle, I'm not a bandwagoner because this team has nothing to root for. That's the basis on our fandom. But like I said, it's like wearing a Letterman jacket from high school in the year 2024, and I'm 36 years old. Like, it does nothing for me now. You're living in the past. And the third point is those Super Bowls didn't help you from losing yesterday. So I don't understand that part of it.
I personally don't lose sleep over the fact that the 1974 Minnesota Vikings, or whatever year it was, lost the Super Bowl. That does not keep me up at night. It doesn't make me any less of a fan of the organization.
I mean, yeah, we've never been alive to see the Vikings win a Super Bowl, but you know what? None of us have ever been alive to see the Vikings lose a Super Bowl either.
Right on.
Oh, I think it's coming, Adam. I think that's the next step in this eternally damned franchise is they're going to go 0-5 and we're going to witness it.
We're off on a tangent. We love our tangents, but it's way, like you said, it's way more painful to be a fan of this team and watch them lose in the spectacular fashion than what they do than to be like, yeah, I got a couple Super Bowl rings with, one with Favre and one with Rodgers. You stick around through Blair Walsh missing a field goal and put your jersey on a couple weeks later because I'm a Vikings fan. We earn our shit.
We came really, really close to Will Reichert having to get a haircut.
Thought about that yesterday too. I like this kid a lot. I guess we can transition to that, but that puts it into perspective. He's already got a game ball from me this season. I don't know where to go, so I'll go last. I'm going to let you guys go first, but we give out game balls and donkeys. If you're new here, I think we have all of our old faithfuls in. Sergio, that was an underrated comment, by the way, bringing up Al Bundy. Let's do some game balls and donkeys for this game. The Vikings won 31-29, kind of a nail biter at the end, up 28-0 at one point, which is, I don't know how they let them come back like this, but ultimately 4-0, and there were some decent performances yesterday. Fellas, who do you want to give a game ball to?
I'm going to go defense, and you guys are going to be like, what? And the way they blew it in the second half, you giving anyone on defense a game ball for? No, you know what? Shaq Griffin. I think that he's quietly been a good signing for this team. Veteran player, veteran presence. Came up with one interception for the team. He is, and I've noticed this a lot with some of the veteran talent that they've brought in, particularly at that corner position. They might not jump at you like stat-wise, even though he had an interception, but they're consistently where they need to be Okay, they're sound in their techniques and where they're supposed to be in their gaps on the field, and they're making plays, even though it might not jump at you stat wise. Like I really like what Shaq Griffin has brought to this team. He's reliable. I'm excited to have him. I love watching him out there for the Vikings.
So Green Bay's strategy this season has been pounding it down people's throats on the ground and just dominating them in the trenches. They weren't able to do that against Minnesota. I mean, partially because they had to pass with a gigantic deficit, but also partially because Harrison Phillips was taking up a lot of space in the middle of that line. He had a really good game, and I don't think he's going to get the credit he deserves from anybody for what he was doing.
I like that, Adam. He's having himself a quiet year, and it's really good. Like quietly,
he doesn't get the credit that he deserves from Vikings fans, and I think part of that is the position that he plays is not a flashy one. He's not asked to do flashy things, but he is really good if you pay attention to. Well, obviously they just gave him a contract extension. Obviously the Vikings think he's really good too.
Even Jerry Tillery made some great plays.
Yeah,
quietly a good signing as well.
My expectations for him were real low, and he's really kind of showing that he was worth rolling the dice on a little bit because he isn't making a ton of mistakes and he's making some plays. So I'm down for that.
So we're all going to do defense today for our game balls, huh? That is amazing.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
See, I went that way because I thought you were going to go Addison.
I want to give it to Addison, and I'm glad he's back.
Good.
Who popped off for me yesterday, especially having to earn his keep in the second half, was Blake Cashman. I mean,
there you go.
I saw it with my eyes, but I love that I'm looking at the stat sheet and it pops to 11 tackles, 6 by himself, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass defended, and 2 quarterback hits. Have yourself a day, Blake Cashman.
I didn't want to give it to him 2 weeks in a row, so it's like, okay, I got to pick somebody else.
Right. I really wanted to go Jordan Addison. He had 2 touchdowns, 1 in the air and 1 rushing, and he was the second leading receiver. But and it's wonderful to have him back. You felt the impact immediately. But for as weird as it is, because the defense did kind of bend a little bit in the second, no, a lot. I can't say a little bit in the second half. It's great to see, you know, the payout that they're having for these B-, B+, you know, signings they have. They didn't sign a superstar, and I won't even put Stephon Gilmore in that category because if we're being honest, he's a little past the shelf life at this point for any corner, even though he is a former defensive player of the year.
Gilmore, Shaq Griffin, these are guys that they're not past their prime. They're still solid contributors, but they're not at the same level that they were, you know, earlier in their career.
I also, Purple Rain, what's up? Thank you for joining us. That catch in the end zone was so cool. We forgot to tell you it was a little disrespectful, but it was funny because he's on our team. He shoved this poor corner off of him, like, please get the hell off of me, and gave an extended gritty. Even the ref was like, all right, wrap that shit up, man, before I have to flag you. It was really funny.
I love it. I love Jefferson.
Jair Alexander is just like, even when he's on the field, is 99% of the time just non-existent for when he's playing the Vikings. Like, there was a highlight on Twitter before this game because Jefferson's like, I'm not really worried about it. He's probably more worried about it than I am. Talking about Jair Alexander, Adam Thielen used to give him the business back in the day. And this is no disrespect, Adam Thielen in his prime. Great complimentary 1A, 1B with him and Diggs. If Adam Thielen's giving you the business, Jefferson is not going to struggle against you. Like, I never understood that. I thought it was hilarious. That was one of the excuses that Adam was leaning into earlier, going into more detail. Packer fans were like, well, we were without this player. It's like, brother, we're without our tight end and our first round draft choice in Dallas Turner. Like, what do you mean? We got players missing too. Everybody's hurt. I don't want to hear that shit.
By the way, if you read my injury article over on the Viking Age, I took a look at a lot of Green Bay's hints. And even though they only had Alexander down as a questionable for this game, when they elevated 2 cornerbacks, I said, this is a little tip of the cap here. I don't think Alexander is going to play. Otherwise, they wouldn't have elevated 2 corners.
Oh, this is amazing. Yeah, I understand the secondary being an issue, especially with our weapons and stuff, but nobody feels for you if people get injured, man. Like, maybe you feel for them in that moment. Like, the only team that I
feel
felt
for the 49ers a little bit right now.
I don't. Fuck them. You should have won the Super Bowl already.
Yeah.
I don't care. That sucks for Kyle Shanahan, but hey, it is what it is. Sorry you exist when Patrick Mahomes is alive. Like, I feel bad for Josh Allen. That's about it. But
Joe Burrow.
the only person I felt bad for in like the last 3 years is the Jets, because they had this, hey, we're going to give it one last hurrah with Aaron Rodgers, and 4 plays into the season, like the season's over. That sucks. But because one of your corners is down, like, bro, it's football. Everybody's hurt past week 1. Like, who cares? I don't feel sympathy for any of that. Happened to us last year. Kirk Cousins' Achilles popped on the field at that same stadium. Nobody cared about that for us. They made fun of us for starting Nick Mullins and Josh Dobbs. So I don't know. Draft better. I don't know what to tell you. You're the team in the city that drafts all your players. Like, draft better depth. I don't know what to tell you. I'm crossing my fingers and toes. I think we steamrolled the Jets. They're not in sync offensively. It was a great thing today. I forget who I was watching, if it's Rich Eisen or Chris Sims or one of those. I always watch about an hour's worth of stuff before we do each podcast, just to get in the mood for Vikings football again. And they were saying that they need to make the Jets offense more fun, because it just doesn't seem like they're going in there doing fun stuff. And I just laughed. I'm like, if you can't have fun playing with Aaron Rodgers, I don't know what to tell you. He's one of the best. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. But I do like that they're struggling this bad, because he's not as mobile as he used to be. Now, I think they're going to try to do death by 1,000 paper cuts this Sunday and get the ball out super fast and just get small chunks. I think that's their formula, because they don't want him to get hit. But I would love to see the Vikings beat them like 34-10. That would be amazing.
I think the Jets' strategy on Sunday is going to be very similar to what Green Bay wants to do, which is pounding the ball. I think Breece Hall is going to be a main part of their offense, and Minnesota is really going to have to work hard in the trenches.
That is disgusting. Oh my gosh, Sergio.
That's no.
Yeah, I love it. If you guys are keeping up, if you keep up with the NFL, that's a good stat too. Like, Rodgers is just diming people out in the press conference, and there's always drama with him. We were talking about this before it started. I love the fact that he's opened up, and like, I hate the Russell Wilsons of the world that are just like, all right, let me go into my AI generated script to give you word salad, nothing answers. I like that he's opinionated and he likes to talk about certain things, whatever. Whether you agree with him or not, I like that he's authentic. But man, does he bring some fucking drama when he talks.
Yeah.
You know there's just going to be drama everywhere. And kind of bringing this full circle, talking about the trilogy of quarterbacks in Green Bay, I'm starting to see a lot more Favre and Rodgers than he wanted to admit early on. And I also thought it was ironic bringing up Favre that Jordan Love wore a Brett Favre jersey yesterday, and then he threw a bunch of interceptions. And that's popular on a Monday after this game. It's like, well, should they have started Malik Willis? I don't think they would have been competitive in this game with Malik Willis.
I shared it in our group chat, but what did you guys think of Tom Brady saying he almost signed with the Bears?
I'm going to share what I said in the chat. I don't think his career would have went the same way as it did. I think that they would have, like I said, and this is my favorite joke in that chat that we have. I think they finally would have had a 4,000-yard passer. That would have been cool.
I love the way Chicago offered him half of what Tampa Bay did. That's amazing. Just like, hey, here's the greatest modern day quarterback that we've seen. Let's offer him next to nothing to come play for us. That's so stupid.
It's really good not having Tom Brady in the division, though. I'm good at that.
Wes says Rodgers got hit a lot yesterday. You got to think he's thinking, oh shit, just a little bit. Yeah, I wonder when the team is going to leave. I would hope that they would leave either today or tomorrow and get over there and get those hours ahead. Some of the teams like to leave like on Friday night and just get there, have one day to recoup, and then do what they do. But I'm not sure. I'll just say out loud.
Social media so closely because I want to see what Sauce is going to be saying about Jefferson. I'm paying real close attention.
That's a fun matchup to watch.
Oh yeah,
that'll be fun.
And like you said, Breece Hall on Phillips up the middle for the Vikings. That's going to be another fun matchup to watch too.
So Donkeys, who wants to go first? I know Smith has one.
Brian Flores.
Brian Flores, it's mine too. It's that play calling was.
How many times in our
You said yours was going to be Jalen Naylor. What the heck?
Yeah, I wanted to give it to him, and looking up at the Sun, the more I realized he's not the reason they gave up 22 points in the fourth quarter.
I can't.
Good
I was
God.
thinking about that before we recorded because I almost went Naylor. But then I thought about that too, and I'm like, the sun is really bright. In case you guys have never seen it before, you can't blame him.
Breaking
for,
news
like,
on the Purple People podcast.
Yeah, you can't blame him for oh shit, I lost track of the ball momentarily.
Did you see Minnesota pulled him after on kicker or on punt returns after that though, and put Powell back out there?
Yeah,
As they should. How many times did I type it? I think 4 in our chat. And I was like, get out of cover 2 immediately. Stop it. Stop doing that. I never wanted to agree with Mel Kiper on anything, but I'm like, ban it, outlaw, and send it to the Shadow Realm. Quit that shit. Don't do that again. Because that's so the Packers going into this game, they were the top rushing team, I believe, in the league. So nobody's doing it as well as them, maybe Baltimore. So maybe you're not going to face that level of it. But playing preventative, all that does for me in my heart of hearts when I watch as a fan, and I don't know jack shit, I'm just a fan. All you're doing is guaranteeing field goals doing that. You're guaranteeing field goals. But you're just allowing them to get closer. And then the moment when you play regular defense again that got you this giant lead in the first place, there's your over-the-top play action. Now, we're lucky that Jordan Love decided to just chuck it and say fuck it on that last interception. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. If I'm a Packer fan, I'm pissed about it. It was 1st and 10. You did not have to throw that ball. But yeah, I don't like this defense. This preventative, safe, like what? That's just not the identity of the team. And I know it's like a shape-shifting, weird chameleon defense that has a lot of different looks, but please stop doing that. I am still scarred from 2022, and I don't want to see that shit again.
We're not coaches, and we don't know the analytics and the studies all the time that they go that they put into these kinds of decisions. But doesn't it feel like every time you have a lead in a football game and the coach goes, okay, we're going to dial it back and we're going to play it safe and we're going to run out the clock and we're going to go to a base defense, you're just giving the other team momentum. You're just giving them momentum, and you're doing it. And now I'm getting mad because stupid bullshit. Sportsmanlike. Oh, we want to be sports. We don't want to be unsportsmanlike and run up the score. Fuck you. Fuck your team. Run up the score. Blitz them into the ground. And now I'm mad. I don't give a shit if you can't stop us. That's your own fault for not doing it. Like you said, don't go into this bullshit prevent defense. The only thing the prevent defense does is prevent you from winning the football game.
Kevin O'Connell didn't help the defense, though. I don't know why Kevin O'Connell came out and was passing the ball rather than running the ball and eating clock in the second half. That made no sense to me. Now, I'm going to go with my donkey. I'm going to go with Blake Brandel, who had made a couple of miscues on the offensive line, caused Minnesota some yards, made some mistakes, but overall, I think he was decent as a blocker when he wasn't having mental errors, but you can't make those mistakes on the offensive line. You can't.
That's fair. I did see his name get brought up yesterday. Not like I think he had a penalty as well. It's on Twitter a lot. Is he playing left or right guard? He's playing left guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where.
Center guard, a new position I just made up right now.
I don't know what Vikings Twitter is really aching for Dalton Risner to come back. So that'll be fun. That'll be some more drama this team will have.
But
in the fan
will
base.
he take the job from Brandel?
I don't see why he should.
I don't think so. I don't think he should.
I mean, he'd be like a high-level backup for guard, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? You're getting paid, so I'm sure he wants to start, but I don't know. I would rather you not mess with the gel that is the offensive line, because they seem to be doing pretty well 4 games in, and that's a lot of what's been said. It's not groundbreaking takes or anything, but because a lot of the teams won't play most of their starters in preseason, that's why practice and these joint practices are so key. So if you bring guys back and you get that chemistry and you can start rolling and get off to the hot start like the Vikings are, you don't have to worry about making those adjustments. I don't think the Vikings need to adjust anything at this point. Have we really seen anyone in any game consistently from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4? in these weeks. Have we seen anybody on the O-line where we're like, we got to pull him out and find another solution? Like, I can't think of that off the top of my head.
I don't feel like Dalton Reisner was part of the Vikings' plans really on the offensive line after last season. I feel like they brought him back because they were able to reach a deal that was good for both sides, but I don't think they ever really had him penciled in as a starter anywhere on the offensive line. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, maybe he'll start for Ed Ingram. Maybe he'll stay at left guard. Or, maybe he'll take over for Ed Ingram at right guard. Or maybe Minnesota already made the plan to bring back Blake Brandel and have him be the starting left guard. And then they just want more depth.
Yeah, you're right, Adam. I really think you're right.
I trust the coaching staff too. They see these guys in and out every day. If that's the decision that they make, whatever. And it's smart to have a good backup. I think he'd be one of the better backups at guard in the league. But you got to also remember, like, you have one good season, cool. Like, you don't have to wreck the ship to get the guy back. The guy was an outcast from Denver for injuries. So I'm not trying to hold that against him when I say what I'm saying. I'm glad he's on the team, but thus far, I'm with Adam on this. I don't see a reason to put him in and remove someone else at this point.
Adam, has Ed Ingram kind of figured it out there on the field? Because
definitely
we haven't
rookie year, because his rookie year was insufferable.
Mm-hmm. But we haven't. I mean, we haven't been talking about him. There hasn't been no glaring, oh my God, Ed Ingram really messed up on that play kind of moments so far.
I still attribute that to him getting those new cleats.
Whatever he's doing seems to be working.
It also helps that you have Brian O'Neill to your right too. It's also great.
Yeah.
Brian
O'Neill
O'Neill
and Darisaw are both having an amazing season. Those two guys are doing really well.
Darisaw gets the national love because he's a younger dude and he protects the blind side, but we don't give Brian O'Neill enough love on this show.
Oh, he's got enough dollars that he doesn't need love.
That's true. That's very well said, Adam.
Live action Buzz Lightyear.
He does. It's so funny you said that.
Yeah.
That's exactly who he looks like. So you guys are asking. I'll talk about it now. I was going to talk about it at the end of the show, but the hurricane that swept through hit Florida and Georgia pretty bad. It made a western curve, but what happened in the process was some of my old stomping grounds in Nashville, the Louisville area, and then western North Carolina got decimated. It's really bad. I grew up in Charlotte, and 2 hours west of Charlotte going towards Nashville and Knoxville, Tennessee, there's Boone, which is home of Appalachian State.
Just to be sure, when you said you grew up in Charlotte, you're not talking about the one in chat right now, right?
Jesus Christ.
That was a good one.
I don't even have a response. Yes, correct, Adam. Charlotte, North Carolina.
Gotcha.
So that's so funny. So 2 hours west of there's a lot of memories for me. Western Carolina University. I dated a girl who went there and had lots of friends who went there. For the people, for the working class, like, all three of us and probably everyone in the chat, you can't afford to go to the Duke universities of the world because it's too expensive, or even UNC and Chapel Hill. This is where you could afford to go to college. I have lots of memories in those mountains, man, especially early on in my youth or my early 20s and my early military career. Appalachian State, I can't tell you how many times I blacked out drunk there on leave with my friends because I was college age but wasn't going to college. And there's over 300 roads in western North Carolina that are completely closed. Bridges collapsed, dams collapsed, like actual downtown areas are flooded 10, 15, 20 feet. So I am lucky enough. I'm in Virginia. I'm up in Richmond where we just got a good bit of rain on Saturday. So nothing in the way of devastation here. Just, a lot of rain that was annoying. I told a couple people today, I feel almost like an asshole. Like, I'm grateful that nothing happened here, but when I tell you they're going to have to completely revamp these towns, like multiple cities in Tennessee and North Carolina, it's devastating. I was born in 1988 and Hurricane Hugo swept through, for all of you guys that remember back then. And it devastated the interior of North Carolina pretty bad. I think this one is equal or worse than that. But lucky for me, I'm all right. And I thank y'all for asking. That's really nice. But man, it's going to be a long road to fix those towns and build them back up because everything is wiped out. And the shitty part about it, and I'll get off my soapbox, is nobody in western North Carolina on the Appalachian Trail has flood insurance. You don't need it.
Yeah.
So they're just fucked. And I'm sorry to use that language so directly, but these people are just going to have to pick up from nothing and probably not getting any of it back. So it's really, really sad, and it's close to home, man. I see a lot of people online bitching about not having power. You're lucky. Some people in my hometown are, oh, well, we might not have power for 2 weeks. You have your home still. It's going to be okay. Like, go to YMCA and take a shower, or go to your friends, or drive. Hell, I would even house some of my friends if they were willing to make the drive. But yeah, sorry to bum the podcast out. You guys asked, and I made it really sad, but I'm okay. Yeah, drive around this, and yeah, good Charlotte. Kyle, did you type that?
Yeah, of course I did.
That's so funny. Sorry to bring the mood down. I'm sure we'll lose a couple of eyeballs for that, but I'm good. Hopefully everyone will. Hopefully everyone can figure it out there. It's going to take a while, but back to the game. So we talked about it. We got to bring it up again until it stops. And I don't even think with one bad game it's going to stop. Sam Darnold leads the league in touchdown passes. Guys, we're a quarter of the way in, just about a quarter way into this season, and he is legitimately the front runner for MVP. I don't think that's me wearing my Viking hat bias. I think that's legitimate.
Not comeback player of the year, MVP.
When does if he keeps this up, when does the conversation switch to maybe we do have to keep Sam Darnold for another year?
I was having this argument with a friend of mine, and I don't know, because Sam Darnold's 28? He ain't old enough to really cast him out and say his career is that bad. I mean, he's got many years ahead of him. If you wanted to hit your way into Sam Darnold, you could.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and we have to agree on this.
Insane statement to make.
It is. It's crazy. You have to look at Sam Darnold's situation, and you can't deny. Just like to your point, Adam, earlier, we're talking about if Tom Brady, and I didn't read that article. I thought you meant if he was drafted by the Bears. You're saying sign with the Bears after New England, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So I'm thinking about it from the point of, oh, I thought you meant drafted by the Bears. Okay, certainly would have had a different career trajectory. But even then, I'm not sure they would have won the Super Bowl with that roster. But who knows? It's Tom Brady. But this part in NFL history, when you're writing the history of the NFL,
that's my new favorite comment.
Thank you.
Evolution of beard growth. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and thank you for noticing, because I'm going full Viking, to put a pun in. I'm going for this for at least another 6 months, and it's driving me nuts because it's getting that point now where it's like touching both of my lips and getting in my food a lot. But I don't want to be that guy that has like the pencil thin mustache and a giant, chin strap too. So I'm just letting it all go. But Sam Darnold, to my point, when you're looking at this part of the NFL, when you write the entire history of the NFL and put it in like a book or print format, this is one of the highlights there when you reference coaching matters. Because Carolina's coaching, Matt Rule's not there anymore. He's still getting paid by Carolina, if my memory serves me correct. And he's a Nebraska head coach. They fired Frank Reich after like 9 games. So they don't have their shit together. Obviously, the Jets haven't had their shit together for 30 years. So you're thinking about, okay, you have the perfect storm. And this team really reminds me of the 2017 Vikings, where Pat Shurmur, amazing offensive coordinator that year. You have a quarterback that you didn't think was going to do this well, but it's rolling. And you've got a bunch of underrated pieces, because that's the Sam Bradford knee, Dalvin Cook ACL year, where you're like, all right, I've got not a bunch of A-plus like dominant players. Like, who do you guys think has the best roster in the NFL right now? Is it San Francisco, maybe?
That would probably be the best bet, yeah.
Yeah, like this team doesn't have just blue chip players at 75% of the positions on both sides of the ball. But they do have, I would say, B- all across the board everywhere outside of Jefferson and maybe Darisaw.
It's kind of funny how much of the national media just kind of like dismissed Minnesota's defense because there isn't those star players there that, are at other teams.
They looked at Daniil Hunter leaving, and they didn't actually look at what the Vikings were doing to replace him in this scheme that they had switched to. And a lot of that, I think they were going, that's really going to hurt the Vikings. And on paper, you can kind of see where they were going, but I think if you actually paid attention to this team, we all knew this defense was going to be better than what the media was talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
But this is the point to make there. The coaching matters. I really do think we would look at last season, 2023, as overshadowed because the Vikings didn't make the playoffs. I do believe if they somehow scraped their way in, they would have gotten bounced in the wild card. because the competition was so good. Philadelphia, Tampa Bay was rolling, the Lions, the Packers, San Fran. I don't think they would have beat the Cowboys. So you think about all those teams that made it, they probably wouldn't have won a game, but they were in playoff contention until the last week, and they were just throwing people in at quarterback all season.
Yeah.
And, and they missed Jefferson for half the year. Coaching will get overshadowed when you don't win, but when you do start winning, they're getting all the love. Like they're saying outside of Spags and Andy Reid, they're like, who's coaching better than these guys right now? Okay, cool. I can see that. I do think Brian Flores, maybe he doesn't want that coaching, like head coach job yet. Maybe he'll say one more year. But right now, coaching matters. And what I see in Sam Darnold is, number one, I don't even care how good he's playing. I'm just glad the bad hasn't shown up yet. I'm glad that stupid interceptions and the errant throws haven't creeped their way back in. I'm not saying he's not allowed to make a mistake. Of course he is. But consistently making bad decisions, I feel like that's getting talked out of him. And who better to do that than Kevin O'Connell?
He's only 27, like Adam said.
Yep.
So he's young. Lots of time left in his career. We are only 4 games into the season. Let's let it play. Let's let it play out. Let's see what happens down the stretch here, folks. I am not, and I believe we talked about this maybe even last week. I am not giving him, no matter how well he plays, barring a Super Bowl victory, the big guaranteed Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott contract. And I am not, okay, now we're in the same situation that we were before, just with a different player where you've got a large portion of it going to one player. If you can figure out a deal that works a little more team friendly and it works for Sam Darnold, and you can keep him here if he plays really well for like another 2 years to kind of mentor JJ McCarthy and give that kind of easy transition into him, and it still allows you to build the roster that you need to, yeah, I'm okay with that.
It would be kind of ballsy to roll the dice and hope that JJ McCarthy can do what Sam Darnold is doing.
I'm glad you said that, Adam.
Yeah, it really would.
We could just have the discussion now. I've seen this online, and I thought it was the dumbest thing I've seen in a while, which is weird because the internet every day will make you just want to kill yourself from how stupid people are. Somebody said we should trade JJ McCarthy to the Panthers.
Oh, no.
4 games in, trade JJ McCarthy and extend Sam Darnold. Here's what rational Kyle Smith Viking fan thinks. If he makes it to the playoffs, which they are well in the position to do that
they
now.
Should.
I just want them to win the NFC North. I don't give a shit if they're the 7th seed. Just win the division. That alone, with expectation of what Detroit and Green Bay were this year, even the Bears. People were hyping the Bears up to be a playoff team.
Yeah, Minnesota was supposed to be at the bottom of the division this year. That was the expectation.
Correct. They were saying we were basement dwellers because we got Sam Darnold. I want them to win the division. If they win the division, I would be over the moon. If they don't, but they make the playoffs, almost just as good. If they win a playoff game with Sam Darnold, I don't think there's any reason you shouldn't bring him back. But here's the caveat. You can offer him less than the Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott contract. He'll stay because he knows where else in the league is he going to go? Because all the teams that are really good, he's not going to go there. He's not going to Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore. He's not going to San Fran, Green Bay, Philly,
Dallas.
all these teams. Dallas, he's not going there.
But if you're coming off an MVP year, I mean, you can charge whatever really you want.
That's true, and he could chase the money. And this is all what I would do as the Vikings. I would say, hey, look, what's the going rate for like a franchise quarterback now? Okay, that's a 4-year deal. Here's what I'm offering you, Sam. I'll give you 2 years, $75 million guaranteed. That's 32 or 37 and a half a year.
You're going higher than I would.
I think because of the way that the market is and the cap hits, the cap will go up. I think that's about right. That's still less than $40 million a year. Daniel Jones is still getting paid.
10 this year from Minnesota, and people were like, "You overpaid for him."
Right. Exactly. If you offered him 2 years, fully guaranteed $75 million to stay here with this team, I think that's a win for everybody. I think he would take it unless his agent's like, nah, man, we're going to chase money. He's going to stay with the team that has all the weapons. And guess what that does for us? JJ McCarthy can sit down and do the traditional Give me 3 years. Could you imagine what this kid would do if he had the Jordan Love treatment where he got to chill for 3 years? Because he's doing it this year, but he's injured. So he gets 2 years to learn again. He's going to come out firing, and it might finally work instead of.
It's a little different being, Aaron Rodgers' understudy and being Sam Darnold's understudy.
I'm not even worried about Sam. He's got the coach that's going to help him there. I'm not hyping Sam to be Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying that.
There are about 2 situations for Sam Darnold that I think that he would be smart to leave the Vikings and go for after this season. So if Miami says, "Hey, Tua, thank you, medical history. We have to find a way to move on from you." Him going to Miami with that head coach would probably be a really good fit because they could maximize his talents. That's a good roster, a good team down there as well too. Going back to the 49ers, if the 49ers are like, "Thank you, Brock Purdy, but we feel the need to upgrade. We'll take you back in that organization." I could see him doing that. What I don't think he's going to do, and he's already been in Carolina, he's not going back to Carolina.
Yeah, there's a team that could really use him, and it's the Jets. And I don't think he's going back to the Jets.
Yeah, but he's seen the other side of what bad coaching and dumpster fire organizations do. If you put him back on this Carolina team or this Jets team, he's not playing at the level that he's at right now. It's coaching, it's roster, and it's his. I don't want to discredit him. It's him being a tough, gritty, smart, talented player as well too, that you're finally seeing that maximized. But guys, he's not going. He would be dumb to go to some shitty team because sure, you could get a big guaranteed contract out of it, and what, you're going to go back to being terrible again and get benched and be out of the league in 2 years? I really don't think he's going to do that.
Well, it's gonna bring up that point that I made earlier too, and that's going to be the narrative about his entire career is why didn't you stay in Minnesota? Obviously, the coaching helped you there.
Right.
You're not going to get a better, in my opinion, an overall balance of receivers. And this is a shout out.
That's kind of where I was going real quick with that too. Is
my bad.
Can the Vikings lowball Sam Darnold a little bit on a contract because he's Sam Darnold? Can you do that to him a little bit? I kind of think you can. I kind of think you could lowball him a little bit and be like, "Hey, here are your other options. They fucking suck. You don't want to go there, dude. You have been there. Why don't you just stay here and take a hometown discount, and we can continue to build a really good roster around you?"
Which is really funny because you got Danielle Hunter, who was not taking a hometown discount anyway. You got Kirk Cousins. He ain't taking a discount anywhere.
Yeah,
for anything.
Here's Adam Thielen's phone number. Call him on the phone and ask him, was it really better in Carolina, or should you have just taken a hometown discount? And should you have just stuck around in Minnesota and finished your career? And you could have been wide receiver 3/4, but then there would have been injuries and you would have moved up. Ask him that when he's throwing his helmet on the field because he's wide open.
I don't know, man. He's 33 and they're paying him $14 million a year. I would have taken that shit too.
Yeah, but ask him when he was throwing his helmet on the field because he was so pissed off at Bryce Young when he was wide open out there, whether or not he should have stuck around in Minnesota.
But who knows? Maybe Minnesota can trade for Devontae Adams or something.
That's a take too that's out there, and it's weird.
Sure.
It's really weird.
You want to be wide receiver 4 on this team?
Well, here's the thing, too, thinking about that whole conversation, and I'm going to tell you guys what my brain does, which I wish that it doesn't, but it goes there. But, yeah, I agree with you, Adam. I don't think you can just strictly say, all right, man, I hope this is – and I'm saying this out of just the injury part of it, too. J.J. McCarthy doesn't have a history of knee problems, but just as a safeguard here, I want to see Sam Darnold come back if possible because he's proven that he can play. We are 4 games out of 17. There's still 13 games left. It's a lot of football.
A lot of shit could happen. A lot.
But I want to tell you guys, and I'll be the first one in Vikings land to say this. And I said this before, in the same neighborhood a couple of years ago. I know you guys have heard me with this take. I said the Vikings would win a Super Bowl and Vikings social media would find a way to bitch. And I found myself being the pot calling the kettle black here, because wouldn't this be the most Viking shit ever to win a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold at quarterback? I thought about that yesterday. I was like, the feeling of watching this clock strike 0 and then my phone is just going to go fucking nuts for like 6 hours. I would be kind of underwhelmed. I would be kind of mad that Sam Darnold's the one out of all the guys we've had at quarterback. Be the one.
Randall Cunningham, Brett Favre, no.
Favre, no. Fran Tarkenton, no. Cunningham, no. Like Dante Culpepper, no. Sam Darnold was the guy? I would be a little perturbed at that after I got over the fact that I was screaming and lost my voice for 3 days watching the TV. But wouldn't that be the most Viking shit ever in the world to be like, yep, Sam Darnold's got a fucking statue outside of US.
So when Sam Darnold scrambled and came up limping, were you guys starting to panic a little bit?
Yes,
a little bit.
1,000,000%.
Yep.
Because we don't have the boy wonder waiting in the wing because he's out for the year. I'm like, I'm not ready for Nick Mullins yet, man. And that's no
Can you
discredit to
imagine,
him.
boy, you talk about an alternate universe. Could you imagine that narrative if, like, Sam Darnold was, like, he gets knocked out, he can't finish a game. Here comes J.J. McCarthy, and he starts slinging it.
Oh, that I can actually see. I thought you
Yeah.
were going to say Nick Mullins. And
Mullins will sling it. There's no question
He'll
there.
sling it. The results might not be good, but he will.
Okay, Sergio asks, how many years would you sign Donald? Aaron Donald? I'd sign him to 3 years right now.
I think he's retired. But
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold, I'd say 3 years and
I'm
fine for
guessing you got
JJ.
autocorrected.
Then he wins us 1 or 2 and then add an extension. Here's the deal. We were talking about it in here. I think 2 years is a great one because by then he'll be pushing 30. But I'm with you guys. I think he realized, like, here, hey, somebody said it today. They were like, he went to quarterback university with San Francisco and, like, reset his brain. He just did the Men in Black. Like, let me clear all this bullshit out and, like, learn how to play winning football. Reference. And now that he's here, I would please behoove you to go look around the league. Who has a better offensive support system? Aaron Jones, what a fucking spark he's been for this team. And they were trying like crazy to get him in the end zone yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
TJ Hawkinson, Josh Oliver got a touchdown yesterday. Johnny Munt might be the best tight end number 3 in the league. I love Johnny Munt. I love that he's on this team. Like CJ Ham.
All offseason, how much depth this Vikings tight end group has, and they aren't disappointing.
And then look at the receiving core. We see what Jefferson and Addison are. This might – dude, I'm going to go out on a limb here. He scored 10 touchdowns as a rookie. This might be the best duo not named Moss and Carter. And we've had Diggs and Thielen and Jefferson and Thielen. They have the potential to be very good. TJ Hawkinson's not even practicing yet. Where is Sam Darnold going to go and find that in the league? You're not going to find it.
What's making this offense click and be so special right now is – we're not giving Justin Jefferson enough credit for how humble of a player he is. He's not out there demanding X amount of touches per game. He's okay with being used as a decoy every now and then to pull coverage so that Naylor or Addison can have success out there. That's a special kind of – for it to be as talented as him and to occasionally step back and go, I'm going to let other guys. Randy Moss didn't do that.
Jefferson and Addison are big reasons that guys like Trent Sherfield are getting open.
Yeah. And to Adam's point earlier, just to be facetious, Kyle, I don't care if he's humble or not. The motherfucker's getting $35 million a year.
Well,
shut up and you take that paycheck.
But a lot of guys
catch the ball.
But Stephon Diggs, that's my point though. Stephon Diggs doesn't. He gets the big contract, and like I understand they're elite athletes and they want the ball in big situations. I get that. I'm not saying Jefferson doesn't, but the ability to step back a little bit and go, it's a team sport. Not a lot of guys at that level have that ability.
I got to say on this show, I have shat upon the name of Stephon Diggs for years after finding out some of that sketchy shit, like the hotel room scandal, and then everybody on the team on 96 Questions being like, he would never date my sister. He's a womanizer. He completely won my heart back again with the pregame stuff for the Texans versus the Vikings, and then that video of him with some of the players and Jefferson on the field. The respect.
It's pretty cool.
And then it was fun. It was just pure, like,
he just wants
wholesomeness.
He just wants back in Minnesota.
That's what it is. There it
He
is.
regrets it. He wants back in purple.
The Texans are doing all right. They're doing
Yeah.
okay. I think they're still going to be fine.
They're a real good team.
They're so good. That coach is so good too.
CJ
I
Stroud.
can't believe last year they had the offensive and defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Isn't that ballsy? Didn't that happen like 2 times in the last couple of years where a team traded right back up and just said, fuck it, we're going to get 2 people in back-to-back spots? Isn't that nuts?
Wild.
It takes some balls to do that because 50% of the time the first-round draft picks don't really hit. And, yeah, immediately that's a good point. Adam.
All right, so we
Houston's
were talking
right.
about TJ Hawkinson, and I believe he is eligible to come back after week 4, which just happened. But as Adam Schefter said, he doesn't think he'll see any movement on that front, at least until after the bye.
You shouldn't. Tight end group is playing really pretty well without him. No need to rush him. Bring him back after the bye. Ease him out there into the offense. Put him on a pitch count if you need to. I don't
no
think
need to
you
hurry
have
him
to
back.
rush. Yeah, you really don't have to rush him.
So the schedule goes week 5 in London against the Jets. You have a bye week, week 6.
Well, Tottenham, not London.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
That means a lot to me.
You said it. I didn't. Week 7, you have the Lions. I believe it's in Minnesota. And then you go on a Thursday night game, a short week in LA against the Rams. So what is it bringing somebody back from IR? Is it 4 weeks or how long do they have?
4, and then they're eligible.
I'm wondering. I would probably wait until that Rams game. You have all this time. He's going to need time to get
says
back
it's
in the
either going to
game.
be Rams or Detroit when he thinks that when Hawkinson comes back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at what point do you start resting players for the playoffs? I'm kidding.
Let me remind everyone, including Kyle West, I'm going to be pessimistic every game. This team 8 years ago started out 5-0 and they went 8-8. Now I understand completely different coaching and players and all that, but we have seen, because guess what? I have 2 great stats for you. They both involve the Vikings. One is going to make you say, wow, and the other is going to piss you off. Let's start with the good so I can slap you in the face at the end. The Vikings are the first team in NFL history 3 weeks in a row. What was that stat I gave you guys yesterday? To not trail at all to 3 consecutive playoff teams from the previous year. And just a little nugget that I put in there for myself because I'm a football nerd. All 3 of these teams, the Niners, the Texans, and who they played, the Packers yesterday, they all won a playoff game each or more last year. That's nuts. That's never happened ever where they didn't trail at all in those games.
And that's one reason why when we looked at the schedule when it was released, we were like, this is going to be a brutal stretch for Minnesota.
Yeah,
exactly. Because all you can do is go off of what happened last season. Everybody's team gets better in the offseason, air quote. But that's the good stat. Let me tell you the terrible stat. The only team in NFL history to start 5-0 and not make the playoffs. I'll let you take one guess. You only need it.
Probably
2016
the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah. We've seen this dance before. Now, the way that they're playing and the projection of – the only part of the schedule I felt really good about was the Jaguars, the Titans, and Bears. Those are all away games, but I feel like those are completely winnable. That right now, if they win just those games, equals the win total from last year. And that's only the middle of the season. Barring Sam Darnold getting injured, I'm really confident in this team getting into the playoffs. Yes. I want to see them win the division, but man, I did not expect this team to start off this hot because you know what I would expect if you woke me up from a coma, if I went into a coma the last week of August and then you woke me up now, I'd be like, hey, your team's undefeated. And I'd be like, oh, I bet you they were all nail biters. What happened? What weird call did we get to go to the 4-0? It's like, no, they beat the shit out of everybody they played. I'd be like, what? Not my team, the Vikings? I don't believe it.
How much do you love Minnesota going to Green Bay this early in the season and going and getting a win? Winning on the road in Green Bay is not easy.
Well, outside of going to Detroit, that's the second hardest division game you're going to have this year, and they won it. I know the scoreboard ran up in the fourth quarter, but it was pretty handily.
At least Detroit's a dome. I mean, you're not playing Green Bay in a foot of snow either, which is great.
Yep. And they'll be in Chicago before it gets crazy cold, so that's good. But I love that, and I thought, and just in my opinion, I don't know how long you can sustain, but I thought Green Bay was the team to beat in this division because they draft well.
And they
Jordan Love is
might
playing
still
well.
be.
Yeah, we'll see. Detroit's a little out of whack right now, and I know they have a couple injuries too. So
I know teams are like
we'll see.
queuing in on Sam Laporta and trying to take him out of everything, and it's working pretty good.
Their running back room scares me. Their receivers are good as well. Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra, you got to give him all his credit. After watching receiver, I became a huge fan of his.
Is Josh Reynolds still there?
I think I forgot about him
because I know he's a good player.
Jahmyr Gibbs is the one that scares me there. And Aiden Hutchinson and Jahmyr Gibbs are the ones that scare me from that team. Very, very good players. But
so on Sunday, Minnesota will face the New York Giants.
Jets.
The New York Jets on NFL Network at 9:30 Eastern, I believe it is.
This is pissing me off because I go to church with my kid when he's here, and I'm really upset that either way, if I go to the 9:30 a.m. or the 11 a.m., I'm going to miss part of this game. And I shouldn't say that going to church. Like, obviously, that's a bigger priority. But I'm like, can we stop? Can we make it? They do it in the UFC all the time. They made the fighters fight when they went to London earlier this year at like 4 a.m. Because they wanted to keep it 10 Eastern time for everyone here for the main event to start. I'm like, we can't push this 2 hours later because London is only it's the same time zone. Obviously, Adam corrected me. They're in Tottenham, but they're only 5 hours ahead of us. So that's 2:30 in the afternoon.
Watch the game at church.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Well, the great part is I sit with my son's mother and her family, and I'm sure they would love me for that. I could turn the brightness down and try it. That'd be great. I'm not going to do that. I will be checking my watch occasionally to get that update, though, just to see what the score is.
NFL Network, I know that's a weird one for some people, and I don't know. I know that a lot of people don't have access to NFL Network, so there might be some ways to get an alternate stream of that legally. And if there is, I'll try to let you guys know.
You're better than me. I'm pirating for life, baby. I didn't say that. You can always watch. No, this is where we do drop off, Charlotte. That's where I've already thought of every possible scenario.
There's a couple churches around my area that do services online, which I think is interesting.
That do online services? Yeah. I understand, especially growing up in the South in that Bible Belt. Some people, especially the older generation that are harder to get around with health issues, they look forward to that because they feel like
I always wanted
there.
to go to one of those southern churches with all like the singing and the happiness and everything. It looks so good on TV and movies.
Dude, don't do Southern Baptist. They're just going to convince you're a piece of shit until you believe in God. That's all Southern Baptists do is like, you're terrible and everything you do is going to make you burn with fire. I'm so glad I'm out of that particular denomination.
But it looks so fun.
So yeah, I go to a contemporary one, and I will say, like, the music part of it is really fun, especially like the one that I just went to 2 weeks ago. Man, they had a really good band, and nothing draws me in personally. You guys know me; I'm a music guy. If there's a really good band, it makes the mood better for me. But the band is always really good, and it's more contemporary. What's going on, MC Sports? Yeah, that draws me in, but you got to have somebody with some charisma. That's what I always love about the preachers there. They have to have a message, and they have to have a way. I hate to say this because you shouldn't think about this stuff when you're talking about church, but it's like the pro wrestler announcers. They'll draw you in because they have this charisma and explaining things to you. When you have that kind of personality, it's pretty good. I
haven't been to a lot of church services, but when the person performing it has charisma and makes it entertaining, it's so much better.
Adam, you know what you need in your life, and I can say this because I'm a fan of the Black community. I've been invited to the what?
A goth girl? I could use that.
Yeah. No. I'm with you on that one. I'll tell you what you need, because I'm a part of the Black community. I've been invited to all the barbecues being in the military.
Yeah, you got to go to the cookout.
You got to go to Black Church, dude. Black Church will change your fucking life. It is the most spirited singing, and it's funny when you see like a predominantly white church that that's what I go to. I'm a white guy, right? People will sing, but they're very reserved and they're very quiet and they move like this. Like I'll hum along and I'll sing a little bit. dude, Black Church, it's like it's almost like everyone had a Red Bull before the service started. Hands are in the air, people are jumping, and the happiest faces ever.
Oh, yeah.
I'm 100% stamping my mark on go to Black Church if you've never been. Get yourself some African American friends that are spiritual and see if they'll invite you to a service one day. Now, I will tell you, and this is how you know that white people. I'm totally going off the rails here, and I'm totally joking. Totally joking. White people care about their football too much because none of our services last until football kickoff. That's a complaint from some of my black friends who are like, man, I love church. It's like, they got to end this shit before 1 o'clock. You know, we start at noon and we go to like 1:30. It's like, hey, man, I'm trying to get the fuck out of here. The Cowboys are playing, you know, like that's the funniest part of it growing up for me. But yeah, man, you got to get to Black Church. Black Church is the shit. Yeah.
See, I wouldn't mind going to the UK and catching a Vikings game one of these years either. Are the Vikings the home team for this game technically?
Yes, I believe so. Which I don't like. I wanted to say earlier, but we got off on a tangent. I don't like these overseas games. I don't like it. And then eventually they're going to move a team to London, which sucks because it's going to be the London Jaguars. And then they're going to say it London Jaguars. They're going to say it weird, and that's going to make me even more.
I don't mind it. I think it's fun for the international fans to get an opportunity to watch our product, our game out there. I'm okay with it.
No, I think it's kind of cool. Like they took every team in the NFL and designated them like a country or two to represent. I think Minnesota got the UK and Canada, right?
I don't know. Where have they been so far, by the way? Is that what you just asked? I'm sorry. They've been to.
That's not what I asked, but.
Sorry, I spaced out. I had a total blank moment. I'm thinking, you mentioned Canada. They've been to Mexico, Germany, and England a few times. What's their goal? Where else do they want to play? Like Canada would
Brazil. They went to Germany.
Brazil, that's right. So they've been to 4 different countries outside the U.S. Like, I want to know what their end goal is. Besides just making a shitload of money, we understand that's the forefront of everything.
Well, you got to try to expand that, the fandom. Because right now it is technically still like a major U.S. sport. Mm-hmm. Outside the United States, it's not that big of a deal. But boy, we love our NFL football.
Yeah. It's my favorite stupid meme of the NFL, or not the NFL, but college football. It just shows the map of the U.S. and it's highlighted in red, and everywhere else is white, and it says SEC championships over the world.
I've seen that one.
because we just love American football so much. We're never going to overtake traditional football, aka soccer. But I get wanting to expand the audience, but man, I don't like having that be a Vikings home game. I don't like that at all. And I'm bitching. I'm being a typical first world problem American right now. I don't like that you have to watch a game at 9:30 in the morning, and I can hear it now. I live in California. That's when they always start. Well, fuck you for living in California. All right. Everything should cater to me if you haven't figured that out yet. Okay.
MC Sports, no, the game is not at Wembley. It is not in London. It's at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Thank you. I was just about to look that up on my phone.
I strangely know quite a bit about the UK, and I probably shouldn't. I used to watch a lot of UK TV, so I'm a little up on it.
I'm going back in January. I just went in July. I'm going back again. I can't wait. Yeah, I am. I'm excited. I was looking at hotels today to stay in London proper this time instead of bouncing around like a nomad like I was last time. It's a lot of fun.
So I'm trying to talk my family into going to the Vikings home game against the Colts this year. Are you guys trying to make any home games this year? And I recommend that if you are trying to buy tickets, I hope you already bought them several months ago because they are skyrocketing.
I would kind of like to see them play the Atlanta Falcons.
I'm going to say this, and this is just me being facetious again. I'm saving my money to go to the Super Bowl parade. Hey, I'm just telling you too, we're undefeated. We're but yeah, it's like Kansas City doesn't play in Minnesota. What are you talking about? Yeah, we're also undefeated since I got my Vikings tattoo. So I just want to throw that out there.
And I don't know if you guys have been keeping track, but the whiteboard over here has been changing with the record every week.
I see it. 4-0.
What's the guy that used to put that up? Woody?
Yep.
I love that. I forgot. I didn't notice. I noticed last week. I didn't even pay attention to it this week. That's dope, Adam.
Gotta keep it updated, you know.
I like it. No, I would like to go to one of the home games, and I thought about it, but I think it's going to be a next year kind of deal. I also want to take someone with me or meet you guys at the game because I'm not just going to do it. I'm not going to go by myself.
Yeah,
so.
if I go, I'm going with my family. I know you went with your dad once, right, Mr. Smith and West.
Yep.
I know West and I kind of met up at one of the rally lots, and then we didn't
training camp one time
in the game together. But yeah, the back when they used to play at the Metrodome, those lots to meet up in and pregame with, and all that was a lot of fun.
We're not one of those podcasts where we would ask you to fund anything because, quite frankly, we don't sell our soul to Manscaped and everywhere else. But
we got the email.
We did get the email. That's where we're at as a podcast. We've grown slightly over the last decade, but we're big enough to where we did get a sponsor offer, which is hilarious.
And we were like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's what I would like to do one day is be like, hey, you guys want to fund us to finally go to a game together or try and make the attempt, but I can't do it. I'm hoping one day we can all meet at a game and I'll try to make like that a reality at some point.
I am still psyched that Smith went and found our brick.
I found it pretty fast
really
too.
cool.
I found it pretty quick. I started at the very edge of the street and I just happened to work the right side of the ship. And I was like, holy shit, I found that in like 5 minutes. Damn. My dad was beside him. So I was like, how the hell did you find that? I don't know, man.
Because there are so many bricks.
It's a lot. And it was the Chiefs game of all games. There were people everywhere 3 hours before this game, right outside the stadium, everywhere. So I was like, politely asking people, I was like, hey, can you move forward? You're standing on my brick. Oh, yeah, cool. Like, all right, that's not mine. Just kidding. Thanks. You can move back. Now you're standing on this one. That might be my brick. Here's a good question. Does Addison have a suspension coming up? So he does have a court date, I believe.
He will when the NFL figures out the Vikings are good, and then they'll be like, can't have that. Suspension incoming.
Jordan there won't be anything in line for him until there's some legal action taken. I'm assuming after he goes to court and something gets handed to him, then we're going to see something happen. So
playoffs.
Yeah, there is probably something coming up, but when it's going to happen or what it's going to be, we have no idea.
Well, it's two options. It's either this season, right after he gets a hand-me-down from, was it California? It was in Los Angeles. Whenever that charge or whatever conviction happens for him, whenever that happens, the NFL will make a decision. This is just my 2 cents on it. He's a professional athlete, and he probably has really good representation. So maybe it'll just be a game, ? I don't know.
Because the Vikings already said they're going to let the NFL handle it.
Yeah. We'll see what happens there once they come down with their
Here's an
charge.
odd question. Here's an odd question. I've never thought of it before. Do the Vikings have like an avenue for a player who gets in trouble to be like, we will help you find a lawyer? Like, is that something they
That's a good question.
do?
I don't know if there's like a team lawyer or something like that. They probably should have one.
Well, it's tough because this happened across the country. So I don't know. Like, you can get a lawyer from anywhere to represent you, but I would think being in Los Angeles, there's probably better lawyers in LA than Minneapolis.
You know what? I bet that's something that your agent takes care of or would help you with, right?
100%.
I wonder if Alan Page would take it up on the case for him.
Oh, that would be sick. That'd be fun.
Alan Page shows up and they're like, you know what? We're just going to drop the charges. We're just not even going to.
You're
just not even going to do it.
Sergio's got it right. I told my wife that I don't want to go to the Super Bowl. Dude, you don't want to go to the Super Bowl anyways. I'll tell you why. Like, I worked the Super Bowl this year in Vegas. The prices are unfucking real. And it's not, if you've ever been to an NFL game, which I think all of us have, it's completely different. Halftime is double the time that it usually is. And there's just so many pauses. And I can only think, because I'm a natural pessimist being a fan of this team, I'm not paying to go watch my team lose. Are you fucking crazy?
Oh, God.
No, you're talking about the Super Bowl game. But I'll tell you this. If the Super Bowl comes near you, go to the Super Bowl experience. Meet all those players, get autographs, meet people, and it's great.
Now, it was fun doing the Super Bowl experience. That
Yeah.
was really sick because they do have every team represented there. And it's just fun to be amongst fans and do that thing. Like, I have lots of photos on my Instagram from it. But I would much rather save that and do what you're talking about, Sergio. I'd rather just go to the parade in Minnesota and get shithoused and just be like, oh my God, it finally happened, you know? Jonathan says I'd go to a game. Yeah, hell yeah, man. If we really start talking ourselves into it, we'll talk logistics and possibilities maybe next season. But Sergio says my brick is near the ship. Yeah, you gotta go put your hand next to it. That's what I did. Charlotte, unfortunately for you, you cannot get a brick. This was part of the 2016 inaugural thing, and we somehow decided we're going to put us up there, and it worked.
Unless you're a really bad person, you might get one through your window.
That's a good point. Through your windshield?
No.
Had that happen before. That's fun.
Crazy ex-girlfriend or what?
Somebody thought my car was a car of someone else, and they were in a completely different neighborhood. So that was fun. Yeah. That's what a 93 Honda Accord, that's what all the gangsters used to drive around in, you know?
Add your name in Sharpie.
Justin, did you stick around this whole time? You're the man, dude. You got to let me know when you're doing your next review. I hopped in the last time, but it was like right at the end. He's right, though. We should probably have it up. We didn't do any of the stats from the game. We just had like a total TED talk on this show. We talked about hurricanes and religion and all kinds of crazy stuff. But the Vikings are 4-0, and they are going to England this week.
That's what happens when the team is good. We don't know what to talk about. Like, what?
And then they have the bye, so that's going to be boring the next week. But if they can somehow manage to get out here 5-0, that schedule starts to look really good. And then you start having to really talk, because I think the national media is finally coming around until they have that one trap game where they just shit the bed, where they're like, I don't know, man, they might be legitimate. We might have overlooked them, but can I end the show and can we talk about this? Because it's kind of everywhere, and you can't do anything but accept it. Is the league shifting back to defense and running backs just a little bit, like doing almost like a throwback, like when your favorite band has like that one album that put them on the map, it's their favorite thing, and then they try to do like, hey, we're going to make records and they're going to sound different, and then they have that one album 3 or 4 albums later, like, I like this one too because it sounds like this. I feel like the league, because of the preseason stuff, and this is only a 4-game sample, but passing touchdowns are down, defense is up.
Passing yards are way down.
Passing yards are terrible. There's a lot of like star quarterbacks that are in the 1s and 200s per week right now. Yeah. Just not what you're used to. Part of that too, I think, that we don't talk about enough is
bringing the average down.
Well, that you circle my point. I was just about to say, Adam, a lot of what they're doing now they're throwing these rookies out there. Rookies aren't going to go out there and throw for 400, 500 yards a game. We said it earlier this year.
24 yards on Sunday?
I didn't even see it.
I know he didn't break 100.
My goodness. It's wild in 2024.
At one point, he had 7 receptions for -6 yards.
Bo Nix?
Yeah.
He had receptions?
Oh, 7 completions, sorry.
Oh, I was like, what the fuck are they doing in Denver?
Yeah, 7 completions for -6 yards he had.
Oh.
I don't even know how that happened.
And they won that game?
They won.
That's equally as bad as the Vikings going to Vegas last year, kicking a field goal and winning and leaving. And that was the last win they had the whole season. That's wild. Oh, that's wild. Yeah, Jaden Daniels is balling out. I didn't see that coming. There you go. I got some answers here. Thank you. Justin said, you guys are talking too damn much. I was here, left, did my show, and came back. You're the man, dude.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. I'm going to go give that a love. Y'all go follow Purple and Gold for days. Nothing I love more than Vikings community coming in here and helping us out. We also had Purple Rain on earlier. There's so many comments. Y'all can go support them as well. Appreciate that so much. He says defenses have been shifting to lighter defensive tackles that can pass rush. Defenses are starting to go back to the run more. That makes sense. That makes total sense when you make it that easy to understand. I get it. Brian Flores or Sam Darnold, who do you think is the MVP? Up the 4 games, I got to give it to Flores, even though the second half of that Green Bay game pissed me off.
Which one is more handsome? That's the question.
I'm not – Adam, don't hate me. I don't think the Gingers are going to win the handsome award. Plus, have you seen Brian Flores? He works out.
But my mom said I'm really handsome.
She was correct. You are very handsome.
Between the two, I'd go with Brian Flores. I think that defense is legit really good. Sam Darnold's playing well. Jury's still out on what's going to happen long term with him. I think that the defense is going to be top 10 at the end of the season.
I think they're very close. Kyle, to your point, they're very, very close. But here's the thing. Sam Darnold, the passing stuff, like the touchdowns are cool. The yards aren't that. It's the efficiency of Sam Darnold that I love. What I love about the Vikings defense, the Vikings lead the league. Well, they did up until, I don't know if maybe I'm wrong on the stat. Don't quote me. But up until that fourth quarter, they definitely were winning the point differential in the NFL by a large margin. I don't know how well that is now because they let up 22 points in the fourth quarter. But up until that fourth quarter, they were running away with it because it started out with New Orleans. You remember New Orleans waxed the shit out of two teams to start the year? Now they went on a skid. They had a crazy point differential. They put up like 40 burger week one. And you're like, what the hell? Well, the Vikings won 28-6 that first week. Nobody cared. They beat the Niners. Nobody cared. Then they beat the shit out of Houston. And you're like, oh, they might be for real. And then that's the first thing that popped in my mind was, my God, they're not like just winning by a field goal. They're kicking the shit out of these teams. So maybe this game and the stat sheet and the points will skew it a little bit, but that's the thing that separates it for me to answer your question, MC Sports. It's that point differential for these games that they're winning by a large margin most of the time. I like that. But it's a close race. It is. Thank you, Charlotte.
So the Saints, Commanders, I believe they are the only teams in the NFL that are scoring more than Minnesota. Oh, no, the Bills. Sorry. Those three.
Mm-hmm. Tough outing for the Bills last night, man. The Ravens look really good.
Yeah, Buffalo. Josh Allen's my fantasy quarterback. Good thing the rest of my team was balling this week.
I love Josh Allen. If there's a team that I would support winning a Super Bowl that isn't Minnesota, it would totally be the Bills. God, I want to see that kid win a Super Bowl.
Well, they're kind of the same thing as we are. I mean, they've lost 4, and it's not good times.
They have a wholesome fan base, too. Like, anytime something shitty happens, like with that Tua, was it the game against the Bills where he got that concussion that was bad again a couple weeks ago? Was it? I know they played the Bills already, but
I'm not sure.
They'll do that thing, the fans in Buffalo, where they'll donate to the other team's charities. They're always good about that. That's so cool, man. I love that fan base. I want to go party with them. You know, it was good when the Eagles played up there and Jason Kelce went in the crowd and was like, fuck it, I'm going to party with the Bills fans. And they were like,
so Smith, would you jump through a table if you went to a Buffalo game?
100%. But you guys will make fun of me because I'm going to pat the shit out of it underneath. I am 36 years old and I'm halfway broken with my body. I'm not going to the hospital for a table or Bills fans, but I would jump through one if we can make it a little bitch made underneath. That'd be cool. That'd be fun. Why not?
Good times. Well, that's all I got for this week. Do you guys got anything else you want to talk about?
I can't believe this team's 4-0. I cannot believe it.
It's mind-blowing to me.
Like, nobody pegged this team to be doing this good. And what would be funny is if they gave access and they do a documentary on it, and they've already had film going where they're like mid-August, they're like, we're about to fuck this league up. I can't wait till the season starts. Because they knew, like, going into it, they knew. And you got to think, like, the thing that I thought about thinking about Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell, like, and Quessy calling him immediately is many teams, like dozens and dozens of teams have tried this before where they're like, hey, this guy's a free agent. Go get him. I think he'll work well for us. But so far, I mean, this is one of the best examples of like, holy shit, that really worked. Like outside of Brady going to Tampa Bay and immediately win a Super Bowl, it's Tom Brady. Of course he's going to fucking win. But I can't believe Sam Darnold's playing like this because I said at the start of the season, I'm like, hey, he's a veteran. Like, let him do his thing until he sucks, and then we'll put J.J. McCarthy in. That's what I said. Most everybody said that. His prior stuff behind this gave you no reason to think that he was going to play this damn good. I'm genuinely shocked this team is winning like they are, but if he can just even keel, keep it exactly how it is, this team is right now, they're on their way to the 1 seed in this conference. And
so many Vikings players have come and done interviews saying, we feel like there is something special with this team.
Mm-hmm.
And watching it, I get that feeling a little bit too.
You can hear the players if you watch on social media when the Vikings will put out like the video in the locker room or whatever, and you overhear the chatter. You can catch Harrison Smith and those guys, like you said, Adam. There's something special going on.
Yeah.
They're talking about it. The veterans bought into it. They know they've been around. Harrison Smith has been around long enough to know when a team is actually good and gelling and has something going. And right now they do.
I think this is a playoff team. I don't know how far, because of playoffs, anything can happen. We've seen that time and time again. But the way they look right now, this feels like a playoff team. And they're at home, good fucking luck. Like, that's all I'll say. Don't let this team fuck around and go like 8-0, 9-1 to start the season. Because if they're the 1 seed, good fucking luck coming into Minnesota against that defense in the postseason. You guys saw that, like, I think against San Francisco, or was it Houston? One of the home games. That crowd – yeah, it was Houston. They had three false starts in a row.
Yeah.
Tunsil couldn't hear himself thinking.
So good luck,
That's a
man.
damn good left tackle.
He is
not
real good.
That's not a nobody left tackle. That's like a solid NFL player out there.
We love you guys. We're going to quit rambling. We're going to promote some stuff.
Maybe.
But
maybe we're going to quit.
Yeah, maybe. It keeps popping up.
I do want to thank you guys for all your help over in the Viking Age. It's been a good month for me, and I love that I'm able to post that content. I do the winners and losers every week, and I always try to do something really fun on Sunday mornings. There's an article I put out that's got the refs and the announcers for the game, and I always include a really interesting fact about the referees from this game. So I put a lot of effort into those articles, and I have fun with them. So I hope you guys are checking them out and enjoying them. You can also check out me on social media at MNVikingZombie. I am on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, I'm there. Add me, and we can interact, and I look forward to that.
You can check me out at Vaguely Square over on Blue Sky, my social media platform of choice. Give me a follow, and we will talk Vikings football or horror movies or whatever else is going on right now.
Strictly politics and religion for Kyle West. That's his specialty.
Definitely those two subjects. Why do you have a fish, Adam?
It's my cat's toy fish.
You can see my photography work as well, kylewest84.picfair.com. Always helpful when you share that on social media. So help spread the word as well, too. I would appreciate it.
Smith, are you one of those guys that lets your dog lick your face?
I do let them lick my face. I don't let them sleep in the bed.
Oh, boy. That's
Have
a
you
weird
seen-
line to draw, but okay.
Well, it's this right here, man. This is why. You guys see that?
Yeah.
It's everywhere. I sweep one day. Today I vacuum. Tomorrow I'll sweep. And then I'll vacuum, and then I'll sweep. I rotate between, because this one here, the work dog is in the kennel back there. I don't know if you can see. This is the kennel for the work dog. He's in there, and it's fine. That stays pretty contained, and we go to work 5 days out of the week. So, but this dude right here sheds so bad. No, thank you. It's fine.
My cat isn't allowed in my bedroom at all. I just close the door, and he used to cry outside the door, and I hate it. At least he stopped doing that.
You guys, as you can see on here, I can't read the comments. I'm sure somebody said something about it. Roomba, his dog. Yeah, thank you. I love this dog. He's ideal for me. My fun story about this dog, and we'll be done with the show. When I adopted him, I went by size at the local Humane Society. I like big dogs. I'm a working dog handler, so those are naturally the ones I love. There was a Husky, a Great Dane, a St. Bernard, a Rottweiler, and they're all spinning around. And this guy here, you can't see him, but he's like.
So you don't want a Yorkie?
Oh, God. I don't need that. I don't need I call it the old white lady dog. It's always
a little handbag dog.
the Chihuahuas, Yorkies, it's the old white lady dog. It's the dog with white fur that always has a really shitty eye boogers that's brown and the goatee. What breed of dog is that?
That sounds like a Yorkie.
It might be. I don't do that. And it's funny because all the work dogs, like we'll be in the airport where I work, and every time there's a smaller dog, it's always like, I gotta bark at the big dog. And he couldn't care
it could be
less.
a Pom.
Yeah, those are bad too. Growing up, we had one across the street that wouldn't shut up.
At least it's not a Chihuahua.
I've been around those being in El Paso too. They are dicks. They think they're 12 feet tall. It's really funny.
Well, I do want to thank everyone for joining us in chat, because we love it when you guys are here. You make recording this so much fun. And I do want to ask you guys, like, share, subscribe, do all of that, and spread the word about the show. The more people we get in here, the more fun we can have. So let them know. We will be back next week talking about the game against the Jets. In the meantime, stay classy, Minnesota.
Don't call us that, Charlotte.